Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dirt and the Divine. This is the podcast where we say what needs to be said. Welcome to this episode. I am so excited to have today's guest. This is my dear friend, Darius Bashar, or D, as he's known in the gorgeous community that he has cultivated through his amazing meditation group called Artist Morning, which I and many people, many amazing humans are part of. So thank you for creating that, Darius. And thank you so much for being here. I'm really, really excited to have you here. You're also a brilliant photographer, and I had the honor of being photographed by you a couple of weeks ago. You were always on my vision board to have my vision and my soul captured, and you did that so beautifully. And I think it's because you are just such an open channel for seeing beauty and seeing soul and seeing light in this world. And I just honor that so much in you, and feel that vibration off of you every time we meet on Artist Morning, and obviously whenever we connect offline socially or whatever as well. So thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. What a beautiful intro.
Yeah, well, that's heart to heart, right? um, so why don't you start just by sharing with us your story? And we'll go from there. So the floor is all yours.
Okay, my story. How many lifetimes ago do you want me to start from?
As far back as you want to
um,
go.
okay. This is a 45-hour podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so my story. I'm going to go really quick to the beginning parts. Boom. Little adorable boy born. Not with a beard. Some people think I was born with a beard. There's no beard when I came out. The hair was up here and then it migrated here.
Right down. Yeah.
Born in a country called Iran.
Yeah.
Some stuff happened in Iran,
Yeah.
some political stuff. My family decided we need to get out of there. We moved around Europe a little bit, Montreal, Toronto. Fast forward many, many years. And I kind of grew up in a world where art wasn't a thing.
Mm.
Like it was, I use the example of, you know what a billionaire is.
Sure.
You know of billionaires, you know they exist.
Yep.
But for many people, they're like, that's a thing out there.
Yeah.
That's how
Right.
I felt about art. It was like, oh, I know artists. I know they exist, but it's not a thing for me. It's so far removed. And
Wow.
I grew up kind of as a shadow artist, which is a
Mm.
term that Julia Cameron phrased in her book, The Artist's Way. People who were like always gravitating towards the arts,
Right.
but always on the margins. So I was in advertising,
Mm.
but more on the business development side and the strategy side. So
Mm.
not the creative side,
Yeah.
I worked as a film producer, but not, you know, as a on the creative side, on the, like cinematography, directing, writing side. And so I think the breaking point for me was working a really well paid advertising job with all sorts of perks
Mhm.
and just like realizing how much I hated my life.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that was because it wasn't my life.
Right.
I had like checked off a bunch of boxes,
Yeah.
you know, good paying job, status, condo, car, beautiful girlfriend. And it was just like,
Yeah.
this is not me. This is not what I wanted. I don't know whose program I signed up for.
Mhm.
And I
Right.
didn't have any vehicles to communicate.
Right.
And so, um, men growing up in the world that I grew up in, like
Mm.
we had less colors to paint with when we communicated.
Yeah.
And so I drank. There's this like thing inside of me that was really upset. And I'm like, I got it. Like, it hurts. I don't know how to communicate. It doesn't feel right. So I distracted myself through all sorts of like things, drinking being one of them, because it just like, it made me feel better very temporarily until it made me feel 10 times worse.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
I got really lucky and I applied to a film school in Vancouver when I was like 30 years old. Somehow got this crazy scholarship.
Mm.
And my promise to myself when I started that, like I stopped life in Toronto, flew all the way over there. A huge risk, it felt like at least, but something was like really, it felt real.
Yeah.
And all of that started from a like a thought experiment tweet that was like, what would you send back to your 14-year-old self?
Mm.
What
Okay.
message would you send? 140 characters to 14-year-old self.
Wow. Okay.
And it was funny because I asked like 10 people, 5 men, 5 women.
Yeah.
The men always came back with buy Apple stock, invest in this business,
Right.
and the women
So
always came back.
practical. I love it.
The women always came back with, don't date him.
Yeah.
He's no good for you, you know? So funny. And then one of my friends,
It's so true.
right? One of my friends was kind enough to gift me the opportunity to ask the same question I had posed. Like, what would you say? I'm like,
Right.
shit, nobody asked me that.
Right.
I thought and I thought and I thought, and the message back to 14-year-old D was art matters,
Mm.
go to film school. And it like channeled through me. I'm like, what? What film school? What is this?
What?
What are
Right.
you talking about? What is you talking? And then I was like, I laughed it off and she said, and I'm like, well, it's obviously too late. She's like, and she just said a couple of words that were just like, really? Is it? And that's it. And then that percolated through me, through me, through me. And then over the course of the next few weeks, somehow I applied. Somehow I got this crazy scholarship. Somehow I'm packing my bags.
Right.
I'm out
Right.
there. I'm like, what? How? And the promise I made to myself in that moment was I'm going to leave what I know about myself. Just shelf it. Not going to go in through like, I know strategy, I know business, I know maybe producing stuff. I'm just going to start blank canvas. And I
Mm.
give myself permission because I was stuck on this age thing that I was like
Right.
29 or something.
Right.
And I'm like, well, people are living longer anyways.
Yeah.
And also, nobody knows when you're going to die.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're like 29 and you're going to live to be 39 or no, it doesn't matter.
No.
And so I just in my head reset 10 years for some reason.
Right.
And I'm like, cool. Like I'm like 19.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. I didn't tell people that, but I just felt that in my
Yeah.
head
I
inside for some
understand.
reason.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, and then
Love it.
I fell in love with cinematography.
Right.
Total shock to me. I fell deeply in love with cinematography. Then that eventually, when I came back to Toronto, um, got me into photography. When I discovered photography, which for me was a much more intimate experience
Yeah.
because it didn't require like 20 people on set.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I can do portraits just one on one,
Yeah.
and we can like connect deeply, and I can see you, and you can see me, and we can see each other
Yeah.
in each other.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah.
Game over. And so 5 years ago, I started a photography business. It very quickly took off, faster than anything I'd ever done in my life. It was clear to me that like the universe was just getting things out of the way. And there was a conversation that was just like, D, this is your gift. We are giving you a gift. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
And if you put this gift in the back of your closet, it's going to be very disrespectful to God, to
Right.
universe. So please share this gift with the world. And remember, we gave this gift to you.
Yeah.
And so the next couple of years, this past few years, I've just been fully riding that wave
Mhm.
and more in love and more obsessed and more creative the whole way through. And then COVID.
Yeah.
And then
Wait,
I
what's
thought,
that?
yeah, what?
What?
COVID happened as my business was continuing to take off. I went into a panic.
Yeah. Yes.
Early days, I was convinced, legit convinced. Maybe because I was watching too much Handmaiden's Tale.
I haven't not seen that.
Oh
That
my
terrifies me.
god,
No, I'm just
that's
like, no,
messed with
too
my head. I'm
real,
like,
too real.
it's over. It's over. I'm like, I literally thought it was over for me. I was gonna have to go get a factory job.
Yeah.
Nothing against factory jobs. It's just
No.
very different than what I
Yeah.
was doing.
Yep. Yep.
And
Especially when you're in your purpose and you're in your truth, right? Yeah.
it felt like I've never been fired, but it felt like I was fired. There's no like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. It was just like it felt like someone
Yeah.
took camera and said, "Hey, good job.
Thank you.
Art has been canceled. No more art.
Right.
So
Thank
go
you for your
figure out how to do stuff."
bye.
Yeah. Full panic.
Yeah.
I meditated because I was trying to find a solution to this thing. I'm like, maybe there's a thing I can figure out a photo package online. And every time I meditate, the meditation was just this clear guidance.
Mhm.
Like, meditate, journal. I felt better. Meditate, journal. I felt better.
Right.
And the
Right.
thing
Right.
that kept coming through me was like, there are other people who are looking for
Mhm.
meditation, connection with their hearts,
Mhm.
expression,
Yeah.
journaling, and
Yeah.
community.
Yes. Yes.
D, make this group.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you talking about? For 14 days, because I was just coming back from Costa Rica. For 14 days, I was like stuck at home, legally not able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And on the 15th day, I finally gave up fighting that intuition. I'm like, fine, screw it. I'm gonna make this thing. In 24 hours, the entire site, 2 meditations, all the copywriting, the logo, the domain, the hosting, it was like a blur. I like opened my eyes. I'm like, there's an entire website here.
Yeah.
What in the world? How did this happen?
Love this.
And then the last part is for 2 weeks, I didn't tell anyone. The whole thing's live. Nobody in the world knows about it until I listened to this one podcast by this guy, Preston Smiles, who was so aggressive, so in your face, so triggering,
Mhm.
but exactly what I needed.
Mhm.
And his thing was like, if you guys are doing the spiritual work this whole time and this shitstorm hits, and then you're like, I'm just going to close everything and shut off and just go meditate by myself. His words were like, fuck you. He's like, that's what you're doing. You did all that spiritual work to just sit on your own. And
Mhm.
it just, I'm like, damn, Preston, what in the what? And then literally that day, I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to put it on Facebook. And then everything started to happen.
Wow. Sorry, I'm a little speechless right now because I'm just like energetically feeling everything that you're saying and resonate with it so much because it's true. Like, holy shit, there's so much that you said in here that I want to like come back to. But I love this last piece that you said. It's really interesting because I was super drawn to Artist Morning, not necessarily because of the artist portion of it, but because of the meditation and the community portion of it. And through being part of these morning rituals, it's helped me to see that I am an artist, and my art is just different than what society deems art, I guess, maybe. But I feel you in this. Like, I feel you in what you're saying in terms of like having that download, having the gift, and then sitting on that gift. Like, this podcast came to me in May, I think it was March or May or something, I don't know, whatever. At some point in 2020. And it was the same thing. It was like, I got the name, I got the URL, I put everything on, like everything's on Libsyn. I got my Spotify account, I got the iTunes account, I got all of these things. I recorded 3 episodes and then I'm like, something's off here, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And the what was coming in the way that art was coming to you and all of these things was conversation. And there were all these conversations happening in my world with a whole bunch of people over Voxer, over Messenger, or over wherever, lots of amazing conversations. And the hit that I kept getting was, these conversations need to be out there. And so it's really hilarious because I had the conduit for it. I had
Yeah.
the hit for it, you know, but the two worlds never came together
Mm.
until just a few weeks ago when I was like, what? Because it's not me on the podcast, it's me and others,
Mhm.
you know. And then that finally came together, and I'm noticing a very similar flow to what you're describing. So I think that this is a really important message for anybody who is creative and who does have these hits or whatever you want to call them, to listen to it and not let that, what do you think that barrier is that stops us from being able to express our art?
Usually fear.
Yeah.
Usually fear, um, or ridiculous expectations.
Our own, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's momentum, it's movement.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's a science to creation and art as well, you know?
Right.
Like I had a chat yesterday with someone who was so frustrated in that they made all these plans to create, they have a strategy, they have a this, and then it's the middle of the day and they're like sitting there and they're doing everything but making the content.
Right.
I'm like, I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Is it possible for you to do the content creation before 9 a.m.,
Mm.
before the whole world is pulling at you and there's a gazillion distractions? Because that
Right.
works really well for me. Maybe it doesn't work for that person, but
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
was really grateful about that. And so there's the expectation is
Right.
I haven't created anything and I need to be able to create everything all of a sudden, as
Right.
opposed to like,
Yeah.
let's just get started.
Yeah.
Let's create a little momentum. It's not like you go to the gym and you're like, I'm going to run a marathon today. You're like, let's take 10 steps. Let's take 20 steps. Let's take, and then find all this like support and encouragement throughout, like a new artist, new creator. I use that word, very loosely,
Yeah.
artist. And I want to take it back because I sincerely believe we are all artists
Yeah.
and that our greatest masterpiece is our lives
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we are creating dreams and possibilities and connections and conversations,
Yeah.
actively creating.
Yeah.
And so we're all artists.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're pursuing a new craft, it's really important to imagine yourself as like a young child.
Mm.
And if a young child gets started playing piano or basketball or whatever it might be, you don't be like, that's terrible.
Right.
You don't even compare to like
Right.
this person who's been doing this for 25 years. Like,
Right.
oh my God, you're
Yeah.
so bad. You made a spelling mistake. Like
Right. You
that's
couldn't
gonna
get that 3-point shoot or whatever it is.
stupid, so dumb. Oh my God, you
Yeah.
suck.
You suck.
It's just like you're gonna create harm to that young child. You have
Yeah.
to like support and love and hold that
Yeah.
early young creation space sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the best, another really amazing analogy around that is also like to look at children and to look at babies and stuff like that, right? When babies start walking, they're not like, oh man, fell on my ass again. I'm such a loser. Like I should just give up on this whole walking thing because clearly I'm not meant to do it. You know, I just keep falling. My diaper like protects me, but like they
Mhm.
don't. There's no that what.
Yeah.
Doesn't even exist.
Doesn't they just keep going until they do it. Yeah. I think the other part of it is like fame and fortune confuse us.
Mm, okay, tell me more about that.
So it's like if you really want to create something, most times there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah.
And then if you ask someone a little deeper what they really want, it's like I have these chats a lot. I over the summer was doing a whole coaching program for just helping people find their next artist dream and then express it and bring it to life.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes it takes a lot of courage to admit what you want,
Yeah.
right? That's the first step, and most people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And if you actually ask the question, like, what is it you really want from the perspective of if the universe, if this is a magic pen and anything you say is going to come true, what do you want? Like, I just want to make my music my way. And you're like, great, bloom, comes true.
Right.
Guess what? You're doing that right now.
Yeah.
You're actually doing that. And if you go a little deeper, they're like, no, actually, I want to make money
Mm.
doing that. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But
Yeah.
be clear that that is actually what you want. You
Right.
want to make money
Yeah.
doing your art. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's just like that is more honest than I just want to make the art.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's 100,000,000% possible to thrive as an artist. I hate
Yeah.
the starving artist paradigm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also I don't think all art needs to make money.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think if you have a 9 to 5 job that you enjoy
Yeah.
and it gives you what
Right.
you need, and on the side you want to make
Yeah.
some art the way
Yeah.
you want to make it without
Right.
any expectations for money or any like I need to be famous or I need to get praised for this.
Yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful thing too.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, I do like there's purpose work in here that you're talking about, right? And when you are aligned with your purpose, it doesn't have to be your paycheck. Your purpose doesn't have to be your paycheck, right? Ooh, your
Is
purpose,
that the first time you said that?
yeah, your purpose doesn't have to be.
Damn, write
I know.
that down. Your purpose
Hashtag
doesn't have to be your paycheck.
your purpose for okay. I'll never mind. I'll write it down later. We won't forget that one.
We are recording this, so it's
Yes,
good.
yes, we
Yeah.
are right. Oh yeah, right.
You forgot that for a second.
Forgot. Your purpose doesn't have to be your paycheck, and I think
But
that
it can be.
it can be, but it
Yes.
doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
And yeah, like that whether you want to make a paycheck out of your purpose or not, right? And you
But
could.
most people don't actually. I think they're
Oh,
deluded.
you're right. You're
They're
right.
lying to themselves because they
Yeah.
do and they're not willing to claim
Right.
it,
Right. Right. Right.
or they don't really need it and they're following someone else's program.
Right. Like you did when you were in
Yes.
the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah, like
Your
most of
journey.
us do. By
Yeah.
default, we are optimizing for 2
I do
things:
too. Yeah.
money and status.
Yeah.
That's what we're optimizing
Right.
for. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with either of those things.
No.
Just know if you
Yeah.
haven't consciously decided what you are optimizing your life for,
Right.
that's your answer.
Yeah, and then you end up in that place that you spoke about, and I really want to I want to talk a little bit more about this because um I would love to invite more men into this conversation, into the conversation of, because men, from a masculine point of view, that providership is there, right? And yet there's a lot of this dissonance in terms of like what you went through, right? With like, okay, I'm ticking all these boxes, I'm working this job, I'm making this money, I'm successful, I have all these things, but I'd love to know like how you mentioned that you went into alcohol, right?
Mhm.
So talk to me about that time of your life, like when you were starting to like this crisis kind of state, right? Where you were like, this is not me, but I don't know how to deal with this, and so I'm just going to drink instead. Talk to me about that.
There's this deep angst inside. There was this deep angst inside of me, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was just me, and I didn't have any tools or any structures or support systems to communicate that to.
Yeah.
And so when I distracted myself, booze being a great distraction because you drink a couple of drinks and you're like
Yeah.
so chipper, right?
Right.
Your moods change, everything's possible because
Yeah.
it's numbing you.
Yeah.
And that worked very temporarily.
Mhm.
And then you can create a pattern of like, and it's very common for everyone I was hanging out with, all the people at the agency, like it was just like you do that after work because there's this angst inside you and you wanna just it to go away. And I didn't have meditation, I didn't have therapy, I didn't have men's groups, I didn't have any of those things at the time. I didn't have artist morning, I didn't have journaling. Um, and so that can accelerate really quickly. And for me, like the booze would just make me exponentially more depressed,
Yeah.
which is probably a blessing, or else I would have like got really dark.
Right.
And so it took me a few years until like, I stopped drinking. And a part of that was just like, if I look back at my life, my worst memories all involve alcohol.
Mm.
And funny enough, when I, had this big spiritual awakening 3 years ago and I came back to meditation, I've been meditating since I was like 18 because my mom's crazy like that. But I did it for like 4 years and then I just like hated it, mostly because I fell into the bullshit side of the law of attraction, where no action is required. It's just sit and meditate.
Right.
And so I resented the shit out of it. I
Right.
was like, this is stupid. I hate this so much. And I
Mhm.
went far to the other side and I just like canceled God, canceled spirituality. And I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm just going to like optimize all the way for human.
Mhm.
Took me a very long time to come back to, oh shit, I'm not a human. I have a human. I'm a cosmic space traveler, just like you, just like everyone else, who chose to come to this planet, to come to this human, to have this experience during this time.
Yep.
And soul having human experience. Took me a very long time to come back to that. But when I did, meditation came back into my life so deeply, like that, alcohol fell off. I had one meditation with a visualization that was so simple. I was floating in my meditation so beautifully. It was pure bliss. And then I started sinking.
Mhm.
I looked down and there was this anchor on my ankle with a string, and it was alcohol. And it wasn't like negative, it wasn't fixing, judging. It was just like facts. Like, hey, you can float really high, D, but the alcohol will always anchor you. So you choose whatever you want. And literally that moment,
Right.
done. Yeah.
I love that. And I think, oh gosh, there's so much in this. Um, so the there's so many things that we do have as anchors, and alcohol or drugs or porn or work or addictions to other people. Um, it's addiction. It's addiction of some sort. Social media. There's so many things that we can get addicted to as humans, because we are that soul seeking something, some sort of connection, that high vibration state. And it sounds to me like when you were in that meditation, you saw that you could reach that state, and
Hmm.
how much more richer and vibrant and exciting and life-giving it is to be in that vibration, compared to the false vibration of the alcohol, or whatever the addiction is for you. It was the alcohol, which then you can see is something that is that false vibration, and it is a self-harming tool as opposed to a self-helping tool, right? And I think when you finally can get that in your body, not
Hmm.
your mind, but in your body, which is what it sounds like it happened to you. You were having that, ethereal, did I say that word right?
Hmm.
Experience, right? And um, it allowed you to drop it like that. And my thought around that for anybody listening or watching is, um, thank God you had an anchoring from like what your mom had given you in terms of meditation. So you knew you had something to jump back to be like, wait, I was feeling something at some point
Yeah.
with the meditation, right? And so it was almost like a familiarity there for you that allowed you to make that disconnect right away. um I didn't grow up with meditation. My mom was an alcoholic, and so my anchoring was always victimhood. My anchoring was always pity parties. It was always, I can't have, I'm not lovable. Like mine were all those, like the worthiness was the anchor, the stress
Mm.
and the worry and the depression and the anxiety. It was like that was the thing that was like tethered to my ankle forever. And I needed to cultivate my relationship with the divine and cultivate my relationship with meditation and all of that kind of stuff over the last 10 years so that I could find something new to anchor myself in, because there was nothing for me to reach back into my past. I didn't even like, there was no church, there was no religion, there was nothing
Yeah.
except that big, long ass, drawn out story of poor me. And it was like, pour me another. And it's like, no, that's, I don't know. There's got to be something else. So it's amazing. Like this spectrum. Woo, there we go. This spectrum of availability that we have in terms of tools that are there that we know about, that we can pull from the past, and
Hmm.
new tools that we get to discover on our journey if we're open to it, and that can help us like get to that place of feeling connected without needing that external.
Yeah. I I you know me, I'm a giant weirdo. I have all these weird beliefs that are completely made up, and I want to say that I think all beliefs are made up.
Yeah,
Um and all beliefs are true if you believe them with enough energy,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And one of one of my weird beliefs that are completely made up but completely true is that we all have that training like in us. It was like a safety mechanism that was placed in the human experience and the human roller coaster ride. And it's our hearts.
Right.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
it was like, okay, in case things get messy,
Right.
you get scared.
Right.
Okay, we're just gonna remind them that at any moment you take a breath,
Hmm.
put your hand on your heart, and it's like you know, like a sign to the universe that you need some support and you can enter this portal into the infinite,
Yeah.
you know. And just to make sure we were safe, they place this beautiful power source literally directly under our noses.
Yeah.
We
Right.
couldn't ever lose
Right.
it. If we ever lost it, the roller coaster ride was finished.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like it's always here. And so if you had a beautiful mother like mine that forced me to meditate when I was a kid, you know, like she would, I think my first official job was, or first time I ever got paid was her being like, okay, there's this guy Tony Robbins, I need you to listen to this tape, and if you listen to this tape, I'm gonna give you $20. I'm like, done. Who
Nice.
is this Tony Robbins dude? Give me the tape. I listened to the
Uh,
tape. I fully passed out. I'm like,
yeah.
done. Give me the money. And she's like, she had a pop quiz.
Ah, love it.
She asked me like 5 questions. I couldn't answer
Amazing.
them. She's like, you don't get
Yeah.
the money. I'm like, damn it. But
Yes.
she was that like Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Brian Tracy, like all the people.
Yeah.
She's just like, she's still to this day is
Yeah.
constantly giving that. So thank God for
Love
her.
it. I love.
And if you didn't have that,
Yeah.
universe gave you the
Yeah.
portal to everything
Yeah. Yeah.
right here, no matter what your upbringing, no matter what your ancestry, no matter
Yeah.
what is happening in your life. Take a deep breath, just feel your heart, make some space, and just give yourself permission to feel whatever's there. You don't need to feel better,
Hmm.
you don't need to feel calm. Just whatever's there is a lesson, is a gift for you. And that's why I love these meditations,
Yeah.
because it's just like, what? I get to like
Yeah.
I get to bring people closer to their hearts. Oh my God. Best job ever.
Yeah. 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 I love that. I love that so much. Oh my goodness. I'm going to take what your mom did and do that with my children. Because I'm always like, I'm trying to get them to like listen to stuff, and they're always like, no, mom, yeah. But they're
She
young.
continues doing this with
Yeah.
like like every like
With new.
like all sources. There's no grandkids yet, but like what's your cousins, whatever, several generations, several families, this is like her go-to move. She's
I
like, let
love
me
it.
give me some time with them, I'm gonna give them this tape,
Yeah.
they're gonna listen to this tape, their whole
Right.
lives are gonna be
Yeah.
different.
I love it. I love it. I love it. How old were you when she did that? Do you remember?
Probably like 14, 15.
Okay, you were a teenager. Okay.
Yeah, up
Mm.
until like last Saturday she tried to
Right.
do it again. Like she'll never stop, that's her
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah. I love it.
Me being like a kid, I was like,
Yeah.
just a note to parents out there, even if the kid's like, this is stupid, I hate it, it's so
Right.
stupid, it somehow still sinks in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
don't be forceful, give them,
Yeah.
let them consent, but
Yeah.
like, like kids aren't
Right.
into that stuff. Maybe, I don't know, who knows, but it still gets through.
It still gets through. I see it with my children. Yeah. Yeah. Um, oh my goodness. I
You keep talking, I'm gonna do something really important.
yeah.
Why didn't you tell me this? One patch is off. Krisha, I thought we were friends.
So
Why
for
you
anybody listening right now, if you're not on YouTube watching, D is combing his beard.
Jeez,
So
here, I'll
move
give
on
him
over
some
onto YouTube.
ADSR, like, let them hear the calm.
Oh my gosh, what is that stuff called when there's
ADSR.
yeah.
You gotta charge extra for
10
this
minutes
podcast
between
because we've got ADSR happening in the middle of it.
I'll make sure I add that as like a hashtag or whatever it is in terms of in the YouTube world. I want to talk a little bit more about this heart opening love stuff because again, like, you know, and I when I speak with my experience, I know I'm speaking the experience of a lot of people as well. um the heart opening part for me was incredibly difficult. I didn't know what that meant. They were words, and I was like, what? I don't understand this. I do now, and I'm always in my heart now, and I always feel that vibration, and it is like this envelope around me that I feel like all the time, and it's so wonderful. But I definitely, that was something I really had to cultivate. I really needed to move David Dida talks about this, and it was his work actually that helped me see, oh, he calls them cockles over your heart in Dear Lover, in his book Dear Lover. And I'm like, cockles over my heart. Yeah. Like, I don't know what a cockle is, but yeah, like that's what it feels. There's armor, there's stuff on here because every time I open it, it just gets hurt.
Mm.
And part of my journey was kind of like chipping away behind that, like kind of peeling those things off in a way, and allowing it to open and stay open even when the hurt was coming in still, because the stories were still there about how people were, and how I was, whether I was worthy or not for it. And I always like, it was like, it felt like, you know, when you have a blister and the blister pops and then that skin is exposed under that,
Mhm.
that's what it felt like as my heart was opening. It was like, oh my God, this is so painful. But I just kept it open and open and open. And you're right. Like, it is the direct channel. It is the direct conduit to, it's like
Everything.
to everything. It's like I never thought about it in this way, in the way that you literally just put it.
It's literally, I really do see it as a portal
Yeah.
to the infinite. If
And it
you're ever
truly is.
lost, if things get, messy, hairy, tricky, everything's all there, access. You're always safe. Yeah. It's this great irony that
Mm.
our hearts, there's this sense of tenderness and softness and vulnerability, and the source of the most power you can ever experience. You
Yeah.
know, like both things are true. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I get it. We go through life, we're fresh, we're innocent, our armor's completely off, something happens or
Yeah.
doesn't happen,
Yeah.
and we protect, we
Yeah.
protect, we protect, we protect, we protect,
Yeah.
and dim, 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 dim. Get
Yeah.
really clever with our heads that
Yeah.
it's not really dim. It's like, no, I like being, I don't like social media. I hate taking pictures of myself.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I don't want to meditate. I don't have time for that.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
or maybe it's
Okay.
rationalizing. Maybe
Right.
you actually have a beautiful light inside you that you want to share,
Mhm.
and maybe you're just nervous, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We're all nervous. We're all,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's that's the thing with photography. Like, I just see the light. I see the light in people.
You do.
And I think a part of that comes from like years of experience as a professional hider. So
Yeah.
like I know the
Right.
tricks. I know the ways that we hide and we dim and we put the hoodie on and we're
Yeah.
like in the corner and we don't like, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say, "Ha, I see you." I'm here to say like, I
Hi. Come on.
see you.
See
I
you.
see
Come on.
that beautiful light. I
Yeah.
see it. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so gorgeous. I love it. And you're so talented at that as well. Like just having experienced you in a photo shoot and like doing that type of photography, the portrait type photography is deeply intimate, right? And that was one of the things that really struck me about working with you that day was like you do have that there is a playfulness to it. It's like I see you and let's play. Like I
Mhm.
see you and like it's cool, man. Like I'm nerdy too and I'm weird too and I got these things too, like let's hang out and play together.
Yeah.
And I felt that. I felt super 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 safe in that container, especially as a woman too, right? And it was just like, yeah, okay, let's play.
Yeah.
And from that you were able to capture me in and so many others who you've captured in. The word vulnerable is coming up, but it's not vulnerable, it's truth. Just truth. It just like them
Mhm.
with
And sometimes
no.
truth is vulnerable, and
Yeah.
sometimes truth is fierce, and
Yeah.
sometimes truth is playful, and sometimes it's professional, and it's like it's different all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's soft and tender, and it's sometimes access to the most powerful thing that exists. Yeah, I think one of the great joys of my life is that people see the photos, like photos we took, which I absolutely adore. And there's so much beauty and poise and fierceness and sensuality and just like aliveness. And the joy I get is people don't know that like maybe a moment before that or the moment after that, we were like dancing like monkeys.
Right.
Like they see the thing and they're like, oh, like, yeah, you don't get that we're playing.
Yeah.
We don't know where we're gonna take. Like
Yeah.
there's no path to
Yeah.
that photo.
Yeah.
It's just like dancing with this alive energy that's unique and different with each
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get like this incredibly sexy shot
Yeah.
that was on the footsteps, or just before, just after of the most goofy thing ever.
Yeah.
And nobody knows that but us. And
Yeah.
I just have so much joy in that, in knowing.
And that's humanity. That if we are in our true selves without worrying about what anybody thinks and without worrying about anything,
Hmm.
that is how we are as
Yeah.
people, as humans. That's we play, and then there's sensuality, and there's then there's seriousness, and then there's like it is all of that
You're
in
absolutely
in
right.
one thing. Like there is
Yeah.
no separation from it. We create that separation by getting into our heads and then creating that worry, creating that what are people going to think, creating those barriers that then like you did it so beautifully when you were condensing your body there, being like hide hide hide, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, like no, when we can allow for that play and we can allow for that spectrum of whatever is going to show up whenever it shows up, that's the feminine. It's so beautiful. And then
Yeah.
and so you created that gorgeous masculine structure by having this safetyness there for that, right? And then that beautiful feminine play to just be like, all right, cool. So we're going to take a few pictures and this is kind of what's going to happen. And here's the beginning and here's the middle and here's the end. But we might like kind of go over here and over here and over here. And now let's play.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that is how we should be approaching life.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like creating a container where we both feel safe so that our hearts can have a play date, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
play dates shouldn't be too structured, but there needs to be a general structure around that, right? Like for me, it's like the magic is in the combo of the masculine and feminine.
Yes.
You know, the combo of those two
Yep.
is where you access infinite.
Yes.
You know, and everyone's different. Some people are way more on the feminine energy side, some people are way more on the masculine, so I kind of just meet you where you are,
Yeah.
get a sense of what your goals are, what the experience, and I think that's what keeps me interested in that work is every shoot is different. If it was all the same, it would just get boring. Like you guys are all so different.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's because you allow that for that, right? Like you as a professional, and as a human, you allow for that. Like it's the unconditional love inside of you, there's no judgment. So people can just show up and from that, there's beautiful artistry that's created in that. So I think this is a gorgeous, I think like the message here is that like art can be anything. It doesn't, it's not just paint on a canvas. It's not just photography. It's play. It's speaking. It is dancing. It's like, it's whatever moves you. It's cooking, making a salad. It's going for a walk in nature. It's looking at a baby and like eating their feet, like art is everything. And creativity, to loop back to what you said at the beginning, and we'll wrap this up, but is, we are creators. That is what we're here for. We're given this purpose, we're given this divine assignment. And that was actually what I wrote down this morning in meditation, by the way. I like have it 3 times: divine assignment, divine assignment, divine assignment. So
Wow, cool.
yeah. So we're given this divine assignment, and it's up to us to find out, to step into that. And that's our responsibility as these incarnated humans.
And our joy.
Yeah.
That's the privilege, that's the honor, that's
Yeah.
the fun part,
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
like
they're hand in hand.
yeah, I think people forget that like we chose to come here and it can be fun.
Yeah. 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 We just have to break through all of this collective not funness, you know,
Mhm.
and raise the vibration level to the point of recognizing that it's okay. Like it's safe to have fun. It's safe to be in joy, and to to go after these things that we feel are on our hearts and on our souls. The soul thing for me, when I talk to people about this, to clients about this or whatever, it's like it's that thing that just won't go away. It just won't go away. Like art for you, it just wouldn't go away.
Mm.
you know and finally you heeded it, and here you are. And it doesn't mean that when you're in your purpose it's going to be perfectly perfect for the rest of your life, because you had that aha moment where you went to the film school, and you did all of that kind of stuff, and then you had another moment of collapse, almost, quote unquote,
Mhm.
with corona, and that gave you an opportunity to open up a new portal of artistry that was dormant, and now is here and is serving many, many people. So I appreciate you listening to your soul, and bringing it out for the rest of us to play around in.
You are welcome.
So as we wrap up this amazingly gorgeous episode, what would be like, do you have any parting thoughts? Do you have any message to the humans, the beautiful humans of this world, and
Mm.
anything that is on your heart? And it could be nothing.
The thing that feels real for me is in the end, we all get a standing ovation.
Mhm.
We
Okay.
all get a standing ovation.
Right.
And we forget that. We chose to come here.
Yeah.
This is an amusement park. This is play. And guess what? Some of the best parts of an amusement park are the parts where you are unsure if you are going to make it.
Right.
Right? Otherwise, the whole ride would be like this.
Right. Yeah. Straight
Right?
up.
This part where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. That's the highest emotional
Yeah.
intensity you're going to experience. It's
Yeah.
not the part where you come into the thing and it's finished.
No.
That's not the most fun.
Right.
Right? So it's like we all get a standing ovation when it's done.
Right.
And we are all artists. And like I said, our greatest masterpiece is our lives.
Yeah.
So what are you going to create today, this hour, this year, you know? And
Mhm.
it's like this paradigm of victim, like you talked about.
Yeah.
Victim, sometimes I call it victim operating system
Yeah.
versus this creator operating system. You know, it's happening to me, it's happening for me.
Yeah.
You know, I have no control, I have agency. Every challenge is an opportunity. And so it's not a perfect thing because there's no such thing as a perfect thing. That doesn't exist. You will fall between these two things. But if you can move 1% more into the creator energy, your life's going to improve drastically. Just
Yeah.
1%, little percent more every day,
Yeah.
remembering that you have agency and power. And like I said, at the end, we're all going to get a standing ovation.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your energy and your wisdom and your soul and your heart with us. Where can we find you?
I'm pretty sure it's just Darius Bashar everywhere. So my website is DariusBashar.com. That's hard to do for a dyslexic guy. And Artist Morning, spelled out
Artist Morning.
exactly the way it sounds. Come
Yeah.
join us if you're looking for a community of kind, creative humans
It's
that,
your family.
yeah, it's been
Yeah.
really so beautiful seeing the community come together and then continue offline and do all these sorts of
Oh yeah.
things together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we meditate every Wednesday, every Friday, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Eastern.
Eastern. Yeah. 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 And it's wonderful. It's such a beautiful and safe community as well, too, I think. So thank you for creating that. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm like buzzing. So
Yes.
exciting. Thank you so much. And thank you to you, listener and watcher of the Dirt and the Divine podcast. Thank you so much for being here and for participating in this amazing episode. If you have any follow-up questions or you want to continue the conversation, and Darius is combing his beard, I love it. Please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. We are here as open as possible to assist you in your journey wherever it is that you are, and make sure that you find Darius online and join Artist Morning. And thank you so much for being part of this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Thanks,
Bye,
Darius.
guys.